That is what I'm saying. Because they think the idea of a bunch of crazy Yids running around Arab Palestine, blowing up shrines and following messiahs and starting World War III is a really good idea. They're just as crazy, Bina. You know they are. Maybe they're hoping for World War III. Maybe they want to crank up a new crusade. Maybe they think if they do the thing, it will make Jesus come back. Or maybe it has nothing to do with any of that. And it's all really about oil, securing their supply of the stuff once and for all. I don't know. Government conspiracies, Meyer. I know how it sounds.
And that's something that was written today, right?
Yeah, that was written yesterday. Yesterday in the year of our Lord 2007.
Welcome to the Yiddish Policemen's Union. Let's go.
What you need or what does need? How are the union and the socialist need? Everything I can need, oh I need, oh I need, oh I need, oh the workers need. Oh workers need. Oh workers need. Oh workers need. Oh workers need.
Welcome back to Workers Lit, your favorite podcast about fighting for the narrative. Today it is me and Aisha. Lenore is
She's somewhere off in the Alaskan wilderness, dying red heifers.
yes. Not only do we have the red heifers, we have to put white spots on them to disguise the red heifers. I love I love a good red heifer reference. When I saw that, I was like, oh, is the heifer red? It's fucking red. Let's go. Because, listeners of the pod will know that I know ball about red heifers and eschatology and whatnot. And we're getting a very different look at it from this angle. But we are talking about Michael Chabon's 2008 Yiddish Policemen's Union. And despite Lenore not being here, this was her suggestion. So appreciate it, Lenore, because we had a hell of a time with this one.
Yeah. I also we did not pick this book because of its relevancy to current events.
We picked
We
it because it was on Lenore's shelf for a very long time. And she was like, I haven't read this yet.
Yeah, basically we were like, should we read the Yiddish Policemen's Union or should we read more like fantasy books about fucking? And we're gonna do that probably next time.
Yes. Well, the thing is, I've seen some of your Patreon suggestions already. Y'all want more fantasy books about fucking. So don't worry. We'll get there.
Oh damn. Okay, I haven't seen those. I need to.
Yeah,
I'm so
I'll
excited.
put you onto those. Well, by the way, people, we have a Patreon. So, yeah, cool. Go on, Aisha.
So like this book completely knocked me out. Like I can't believe that this book was written in 2007. I guess as I say in every episode, time is a flat circle.
It sure is. Had you ever read anything from this author before? Because
Yeah.
I had read a little bit of nonfiction, but none of his fiction before.
Yes, I have read The Mysteries of Pittsburgh. I have read Wonder Boys, and I attempted to read The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, but it was a little dry for me.
Gotcha.
It's kind of imagine this book, but longer without the mystery. So
I
just
see.
kind of mixed metaphors and genealogies of people.
Also, I'm now looking at what this man looks like, and oh my god,
I know.
it's a gorgeous man.
I know. Actually, I have that's part of the bio.
Okay.
how hot he is. God, I have to find the quote. I had it and then my computer
I'm looking
crashed.
at a picture of him from last year, and he's 62, and I'm like,
I
yeah.
know.
Oh hell yeah.
I know. Some people get like some people just get all the being good at writing, being handsome.
Well, I'm sure he's got some kind of dark thing he's dealing with. Some kind of
Well,
I'm sure someone who wrote this book has really good mental health.
all of his books are about it's like Jewish angst, latent homosexuality, and being divorced. Those are the things that happened in all of his books. So actually, this is just from the Wikipedia page. Chabon was ambivalent about his newfound fame. He turned down offers to appear in a Gap ad and to be featured as one of People's 50 most beautiful people. He later said of the People offer, "I don't give a shit about it. I only take pride in things I've actually done myself. To be praised for something like that is just weird. It felt like somebody calling up and saying, we want to put you in a magazine because the weather's so nice where you live.
You know, if someone called me up and said, I want to put you in a magazine because of the weather outside your house, I'd be like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
But, you know, I appreciate it. That's actually a huge flex to be like, yeah, I was supposed to be one of the sexiest men, but I was too cool for it.
I know.
Like, that's just hotter. Come on, man.
I know. That's really cool. Yeah, I've really loved Michael Chabon. I think it's Chabon is how it's pronounced.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's so.
I will probably interchange between saying Chabon and Chabon, just because everybody around me pronounces it Chabon, even though I'm pretty sure it's Chabon.
Yeah.
Um,
The brief interview I listened to, the interviewer pronounced it as Chabon, and he didn't correct them. So that seems we're
yeah,
on the right track there.
and the movie of the movie adaptation of Wonder Boys is actually one of my favorite movies. With like Michael Douglas, Tobey Maguire, Robert Downey Jr. From a while ago, and it was like a huge flop, but I love that movie.
Speaking of film adaptations, apparently CBS Television Studios was looking at adapting this, and then for some reason they decided to drop it. And I have some theories about how that happened.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I have some
Yeah.
theories about how that happened last year.
Oh boy, yeah. Okay, well, Michael Chabon was born May 24th, 1963. He is a novelist, screenwriter, columnist, short story writer, and he was born in Washington, D.C., like some other people on the podcast, and grew up in Maryland, like some other people on the podcast. I was also born in Washington, D.C., and grew up in Maryland. His parents were both lawyers. They divorced when he was young, and he grew up, yes, in Maryland, but also partly in Pittsburgh, which is a big part of a lot of his books. The Mysteries of Pittsburgh was his first novel, and I think Wonder Boys also takes place in Pittsburgh. He went to Carnegie Mellon for like a year, but then he transferred to Pitt, and he went to the University of California, Irvine for a writing master's, and his master's, The Mysteries of Pittsburgh, was his master's thesis. And apparently his professor sent it, his professor sent it to an a agent without telling him about it.
That's probably not the best, but we
then
appreciate
he
someone
got
hustling on our behalf.
Yeah, then he got a $155,000 advance for it in the 80s.
As a master's student.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I know. It was his first book. That makes me like I was trying to see who the professor was. I'm sure it was some famous guy.
Yeah, was the professor the like Messiah kid from this book who like blessed it when he sent it? Because like I can't.
Yeah, he was the gay Messiah from this book.
Yeah, I thought I had cool professors. God damn it.
I know. So he pretty much rocketed to fame after The Mysteries of Pittsburgh came out. That's basically like a slice of life story about a college student in Pittsburgh doing what basically every protagonist in his books does, except, no, this one also kind of, which is like bum around town, be sad, and have kind of homosexual experiences.
They're calling it Harry DuBois core.
Yeah, Harry DuBois core. Mysteries of Pittsburgh was featured, actually erroneously, in a magazine, and had him as an up-and-coming gay writer because The Mysteries of Pittsburgh is so gay. And he has talked about how he's considers himself straight, but he says that he has had sex with men before, and he thinks sexuality is complicated, which is based. Especially a really base thing to say in the 80s.
Yes.
His next book, he was working on something that was called Fountain City, and it ballooned to 1,500 pages, and he got it down to 600 and sent it to his editor, and his editor was like, "This is garbage, I hate it." And he's like, he was like, "I wanted to kill myself." And I spent like all day fantasizing about all the other books that I could write instead of this one. So he literally sat down and wrote Wonder Boys, which is a book about a washed up writer who has been working on his follow-up novel for years and years, and it's like 1,000 pages long. So that's like what Wonder Boys is about. It's about like a divorced author trying to finish his book, and then that is a big
when
hit.
did Wonder
also.
Boys come out?
1995.
Okay, and he would have been divorced 2 years previously too.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
so that would also,
And
be in
he
the mix there.
attributes, and he was married to I don't have her name in front of me, but a poet, another writer, and he
Lolly
attributes
Groff, I believe.
yes, he attributes their divorce literally to him getting famous and her not. Which
I
I
can
don't
see how that
know.
would be some
Yeah.
resentment, but also,
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that would be difficult if the person that I was married to suddenly was like hugely famous and they were trying to get him to like pose for the 50 most beautiful people, and he was so base that he was like, no.
And he's like walking around writing this novel that like sucks, but it's gonna spawn a novel that doesn't suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
It leads to things.
And it's funny then the actually, I don't know if this happens in the book, but in the movie, at the end of the movie, the main character is writing a book called Wonder Boys as well, which is like
there you go.
very funny. So his next novel was The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, which is basically a fictionalized story of the guys who made Superman. The two like Jewish, they're cousins in the book. I don't know if they're cousins in real life, but in Michael Chabon fashion, it's very like intense Jewish drama. One of the cousins is kind of in love with his cousin, which is very like, so like I completely saw the plot twist of the Messiah's like whole thing, because I was like, okay, every Michael Chabon character book has a very prominent gay character, and because there hasn't been a gay guy in this yet, the dead guy is going to have been the gay guy, and I was right.
It's
I called it.
Chekhov's gun and Chabon's gay is kind of a thing.
Yeah, Chabon's homosexual. Cavalier and Clay, it does basically like universal acclaim, wins the Pulitzer Prize. It is a very Pulitzer-y book. I tend to, when a author wins the Pulitzer Prize, I tend to like that book the least, and it is my least favorite of his books. I just think it's very dense. And I feel like that this book kind of, I think the Yiddish Policemen's Union has some of the weaknesses that Cavalier and Clay has, but it has a lot of intrigue in it, which kind of brush over the things. They're not weaknesses, they're just stylistic things that I don't tend to like. But yes, the Yiddish Policemen's Union was written in 2007, and it also, to a lot of acclaim, it actually ended up winning the Hugo and the Nebula. Because technically it is a alternate history book, so that makes it science fiction. Yeah.
There's not really anything in it. I don't think there's any technology in it that like doesn't exist in our world, but it is a completely, different track history took. So
there is also like magic ?
That's true. Yeah. We don't like see it on screen, quote unquote, but like I feel like by the end of it, I feel pretty strongly something supernatural happened.
Yeah, there's miracles, basically. Sort of in the way that there were miracles in The Unworthy. I don't know, like sometimes it seems like miracles happen when you have enough faith. And this is kind of another story that's sort of about faith. But yeah, so it got lots of praise. It also got a lot of pushback from Zionist groups. From the New York Post specifically called him a self-hating Jew over it. It is quite anti-religion. He does not seem to think very highly of Christianity or Judaism in general, especially not conservative Judaism. So yeah, it was quite spicy for the time, for this time as well. Nowadays, I also read a couple interesting articles by Palestinians talking about it. And it seems to be lots of them are like, I liked this book. It was so painful for me to read. I could barely finish it. And then I read a very interesting, I think it was in the LA Review of Books, that I won't quote from, but I urge people to read it. It is called Somebody's Protest Novel. And it's kind of about, it's like a critique of this book and how they think that it is actually a piece of liberal Zionist propaganda. I don't agree with them, but I think that the points that they make in it are interesting. And I can talk a little bit more about that when we're done talking about the
Yeah.
book. And that's basically, yeah, it takes us up. He's still writing books. He wrote a treatment of the Spider-Man 2 script, and a bunch of it is still in the movie, which is really wild. He apparently, so this was so insane to me that I was like, is this AI hallucinating this?
Right.
Apparently he wrote Uptown Funk, the song.
No, what?
Yeah, yes, he wrote that
Like
song.
Uptown Funk gonna give it to you? The
Yes.
Saturday night and
Yeah.
we in the spot. Don't believe me? Just watch.
He wrote the lyrics to that song.
How did he get in on that?
I don't know. I think he met the guy, what's the fucking guy's name? Not Bruno Mars, the other one. He met that guy at like a party.
Fascinating.
So yeah, he's written like TV as well. He's married to a director, I believe, now, and I think she's also a rabbi. But yeah, he seems to just have done. He has a career as weird as mine, way more successful than mine. But I also have written on a lot of weird stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that's Michael Chabon, and there's so much more stuff about him we could talk about. He's written a number of other books, but I didn't want to go through all of them. I just brought us up to like the Yiddish Policemen's Union.
I see also he worked on we were talking about earlier, the 2017 book Kingdom of Olives and Ashes, which was a writing against the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen a lot of criticism of him from like Zionist writers and stuff like that. I would be interested to read and hear some of the points from the article you were referencing. I also saw, just when I looked up his politics, one of his, I was like, okay, politics quotes. He said, "I dream of the day Donald Trump dies." So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, he's like, I dream every day that I'll wake up and find he's had a stroke. I'm like, yeah.
Pretty sick, pretty cool.
Michael, come on the pod.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I'll be normal and not blushing at all. Cool. Well, that leads us into the book. This is an alternate history where, and this is actually, I looked into it based on a real scrapped plan from the US government when they were talking about Jewish refugees from Europe in the 1930s and 40s. There was discussion of, hey, we got a lot of land in Alaska nobody's living in. And then everyone was like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. And so that didn't happen in real life. However,
yeah, nobody's living there, just like nobody was living in the Middle East.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a similar situation, which this book is also aware of.
Yeah.
But they did throw that out there. And I do actually believe there were a handful of Jewish refugees from Europe who did end up in Sitka, Alaska, but not like in this book where several million Jewish refugees end up in Sitka, Alaska. And it kind of gets a semi-permanent city-state status as kind of a territory of the United States, like Puerto Rico or Guam style. So it's like basically of the significant portion of the Jewish diaspora ends up there in this sort of semi-colony of the United States that for 60 years they're going to have some kind of control over, and then it's going to revert back to control of the United States. They've kind of kicked the can down the road. And in that same period, partially, I think because so many people came to the Sitka situation, the Zionist project in Palestine doesn't work and kind of collapses within like a month or something like that.
Right.
It doesn't give us a lot of detail. We just know it doesn't work out.
Also, they talk a lot about this. This is a big theme in the book. In Alaska, they did displace some Slingit people,
Yes.
the native Slingit people, and have been trying to build more. They've basically been trying to do the West Bank to parts of Slingit Nation.
Yeah, you get the idea that at least at first it wasn't as bad because of genuinely like the amount of space in Alaska, but as more and more people came in, it like became a bigger and bigger problem that the United States government really didn't want to have any role in like actually being the solution to it. They just wanted to kind of be like, yeah, y'all figure it out over there, ha ha ha, and they're kind of like left to figure it out themselves. And and bad shit occurs,
Yeah.
which we will get into. But yeah, and it doesn't say specifically everything that's gone on in Palestine at the time, aside from it doesn't say like who has possession of Jerusalem or anything like that in the book, though Jerusalem will come to play in the book. But we know that, like, I mean, there are Jews that continue to live there, but there's not like a Jewish state there in the region. And I think the year is like 2003 or something like that when this book starts, something like that. It's been 60
Hmm.
years since 1945, so
Yeah.
2005 maybe. Um,
Right. I
is
assume
that
9/11 has not happened in this world. They never mention it.
yeah, not
There's
not
actually, I have a list of alternate
yeah, several things. There's a
alternate.
Cuban War. Marilyn
Yeah.
Monroe was yeah. What did you find?
Germany crushes the Soviet Union in 1942, and World War II continues until 1946, when Berlin is destroyed with nuclear weapons. Um, Chabon refers to a Polish free state existing in 1950 and describes some characters as veterans of a lengthy Cuban war in the 1960s. President John F. Kennedy was not assassinated and married Marilyn Monroe, and Orson Welles succeeded in making his film of Heart of Darkness. Describing the modern world, Chabon refers to a third Russian republic and an independent Manchuria that is led by a prime minister and has its own space program. Different from our world, but not so different that it would be unrecognizable. Yeah, it looks like we bombed Germany instead of Japan in this world.
Or maybe as well as
Right.
it. It also seems like the United States is, aside from possibly having possession of Cuba, unclear, pretty much the same in this world. Uh, aside from the situation in Alaska, the U.S.'s position on the world stage seems to be similar, if not the same. The U.S. seems to be the predominant world power. It is certainly a capitalist, uh, heavily evangelical influenced, at times evangelical run, depending on the administration power. So we are not really dealing. I mean, United States is as powerful, or possibly more, if there was never even like a counterbalance of the Soviet Union China situation.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, if it wasn't obvious from the name of the book, they are speaking Yiddish, not Hebrew.
yeah, they kind of think the people who speak Hebrew outside of a religious context are weird.
Are weird, yeah. I think a lot of older Ashkenazi Jews think that.
I've met
Um
people that felt that way. Yes. And our main character here, we'll get into it, is very Harry DuBois core. And I did look into it, and there were some of the writers on Disco Elysium did make reference to this book in some interviews. You can definitely see that. Same with referencing City in the City.
and then I said that this was like Harry if he didn't have Kim, but then we were like, no, actually his ex-wife is just Kim.
Yeah, this is also a book about why you should get back with your ex-wife. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you should, because she's the best character in the book.
she's so sick. Yeah, the main character is a guy named Meyer Landsman. He is a competent cop, but he is bad at everything else in his life. He has a severe drinking problem. He split with his wife,
Extremely divorced.
extremely divorced over an abortion that he's like, I made my wife get an abortion. And then she's like, you didn't make me do that. I did that. You
Yeah.
asshole. And he said, I not that I couldn't live with the guilt. I just couldn't live with it and being a too. He's so fucking dramatic.
I know.
Um,
What did
he's
she
like,
say? That the only time you ever have that much control over my decisions is when you're deciding what kind of coffin to get me or something.
right. And he's been at it. He's been a lifelong in the police force. Looked up to his uncle who was in the police. I'm sure his uncle won't come to play. I'm sure he'll be really normal. And also his father was a Holocaust survivor who was obsessed with chess, made him hate chess by how much he like forced him to play chess, and killed himself. And he spent years thinking that he's the reason his dad killed himself. It
Right,
wasn't.
because
But,
he's like, I don't want to play chess anymore. And then his dad killed himself.
and then it turned out his dad didn't even read the letter that said he didn't want to play chess anymore. But he really for years was like, oh my God. But he still this day is like, if I had been a better chess player, my dad probably wouldn't have killed himself. And that's probably not true, but he sure felt that way. I also like
Yeah.
I saw online, the only thing I'd ever read about this book, they said this is a book where the first book where a minor grooms an adult, and I didn't know what they were talking about. And they were talking about the mom's relationship with the father in this book, which is a very small part of it. It's like in one part of one chapter, but if you've read the book, you'll get what I'm talking about.
That really got me. Also, this book, I just love how Arab this book is. Yiddish people and Arab, like Jews and Arabs are the same people. Why do we fight? Stop. Just like this could just be about Palestinians, the way that everybody acts in this. Also, just the sort of like the way that he describes like the way the crowd sort of like just the sort of like collectivist sort of noise and sort of family hierarchy and the way that people even the way that people speak. Like I don't know any Yiddish, and they are speaking Yiddish in this book almost entirely. Of obviously it's written in English, but we're supposed to take away that they're speaking Yiddish. When they do speak English, they'll say Jesus Christ, he said in American or something
I
like
appreciate
that.
they don't say English; they say American, which is
Yeah.
fun.
And they swear in American, which is interesting, which is fun because English is great for swearing. It's true. Yeah, they'll be like Jesus fucking Christ, he said in American. Also,
They say like baby and my love and things like that a lot
yeah,
too,
which
which is
is
a thing I've
also
noticed with
very
my Arab
Arab.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of sweetness, darling. So just yeah, very Habibi core.
Yes. And so Meyer Landsman living in a bad situation, very divorced, living in a hotel, knowing that next year the US government is going to retake possession of Alaska and no one really knows where they're going to end up. I mean, he hasn't even thought about it. I like where they're like, "Hey, it's 2 months away, so you like applied for like citizenship of the United States." And he's like, "I almost for sure did." And they're like, "Meyer." And he's like, "Almost 100% filed. Where was I supposed to file that again?" It's
Yeah,
just that's the energy of this guy. But he's like randomly kind of good at his job. Again, very Harry DuBois core of like
yeah.
he continuously trips over his dick and like finds evidence.
The way that everybody talks to him is the way that Kim is always like, um, so the body, you got that down from the tree, right? And he's like, yeah. What body?
Basically, this book starts with his like a few doors down from him at the hotel. A young or middle-aged drug addict gets it, dies.
Yeah.
And the hotel owner, a guy named Tenenbaum, who it seems like is going to be important, and then he's not. Like I was taking a bunch of notes about Tenenbaum, and then he
Oh,
disappears.
Tenenbaum? Yeah, he's not important.
Tenenbaum, sorry. Um, and
I can pronounce all the names because I listened to the audiobook. I'm not trying to
there we
flex
go.
on you.
It's fair enough. Uh, it was the audiobook good? I feel like this could a
It was
good
excellent.
reading. I was gonna
It
say
was
this
excellent.
is a book that reads very well.
Yeah.
Like out loud.
Also,
Um,
y'all, if you hear stuff that's bleeped out, it's because they use a specific word constantly in this book that I am not sure that me and Jacob can say. It is not one of the really bad slurs, but I think it is a slur. So when we quote, we are going to use the word, but we are going to bleep it out.
the way it starts, and this is also give you an idea of how this book writes. When he's looking down at the body, they're like they're in the room and they're looking over this body of this man that's died. The chest set still set up, and it said, looking down at the deceased, realizing he has seen the around Zamenhof. Little bird of a man, bright eyes, snub beak, bit of flush in the cheeks and throat that might have been rosacea. Not a hard case, not a scumbag, not quite a lost soul, yet not too different from Landsman, maybe, apart from his choice of drug. Clean fingernails, always a tie and hat, read a book with footnotes once. Now Lasker lies on his belly, on the pull-down bed, face to the wall, wearing only a pair of regulation white underpants, ginger hair and ginger freckles, and 3 days of golden stubble on his cheek. A trace of a double chin that Landsman puts down to a vanished life as a fat boy, eyes swollen in their blood-dark orbits. At the back of the head's a small burnt hole, bead of blood. No sign of struggle, nothing to indicate that Lasker saw it coming, or even knew the instant when it came. The pillow is missing from the bed. And then he says, if I'd known he played, maybe I would have proposed a game or two. So that's like the vibes we're dealing with here. It is
Yeah.
very noir at its best. In fact, I feel when its weakest moments are when it strays from like this energy of just being like, the dame walked through with long legs and an
Yeah,
attitude. Like
I agree.
it nails it.
Yeah, the more he leans into genre, I think the better this book gets. I think it's when he sort of drifts off that it sort of comes unglued for me. There are like metaphors so robust in this book that I will like literally forget what he's describing halfway through the sentence. And I definitely get what he's trying to do with that, but I did spend a lot of time being like, wait, what? But
Definitely.
yeah, still excellent prose. He's an incredible writer. He always has been. Yeah,
So
so he
this
finds
Lasker fellow, that's not his real name. He's like, Lasker, that's a chess player. This must be a pseudonym. What's the deal? I sure hope this wasn't the Messiah, because that would suck if the Messiah got shot and he was right next door to me and we didn't do anything about it. I sure
yeah.
hope it's not the fucking Messiah. Oh, well, I'm sure.
Yeah, this guy
Uh,
is like Landsman's one who got away. He's always like, but we could have been such good buds.
Yeah, it's like great where Lungsman's like, where he's like, man, like we could have been friends. And it's like, you're mean to everyone you meet
Right.
always. You're not
Yeah, but
friends with the
he
only
wants
people
to
that
be
are
friends
friends
with
with
the
him.
gay messiah.
True. Me too. But like the only people that are friends to Landsman are like people that are like, shut the fuck up, I'm hanging out with you. Or
Right.
like, shut the fuck up, you're gonna come eat dinner. Like
Right. So
he
then
really has to be told what to do.
we're introduced to a couple other new characters. Burko Shemitz, who is his partner, also cousin, I believe. Like I can't
Yeah.
really tell if they're actually cousins or
They're
it's
not
just
actually, but they were
yeah,
raised.
it's like because he calls your friend is your cousin and your dad's friend is your uncle. Also,
Yes.
also very Arab. So Burko is half Slingit. I
Yes.
believe that's
Very
how you
important.
pronounce that tribe.
Mhm.
And so his mother was a native, and she was killed in a riot after a synagogue was burned down. It's a little like so a group of Jewish settlers were building a synagogue on Slingit land, and it was burned down. And as a in retaliation, a number of Slingit people were murdered by a mob, and one of them was Burko's mother. And then he was sent by his father to live with a Jewish family to get him away from all of that stuff.
And that Jewish family was the Landsmans.
Yeah, it was
That's
the
how
Landsman's family. Yeah.
yes. He was like, we got to get you out of this toxic environment. Go live with the suicidal chess player, uh, and his like 15-year-old wife.
Yeah. Yep. I love Burko also. He's very
He's
like
so sick.
yeah, he's got like a loving wife, 3 kids, a dog, like
He's
he's doing great.
gigantic. Like
Yeah,
he's
huge.
huge. It describes him, and like and he has a lot of trouble fitting in because while he is ethnically half Jewish, like he does not appear like everyone else around him. He has
Right.
trouble growing a beard despite being so big. He and his like his ancestry is very clear. He at this point in his life has learned to lean into it, including carving a custom hammer that he carries around in case he ever needs it. I thought the hammer was going to be more important to the plot, but no, it's just like a thing
Yeah.
he's got.
He just
Like
he
fucking
switches
hammer of
into
war.
into he goes he switches into quirked up brown boy mode.
Yes, yes. He's sick. We like him. Sure hope his dad didn't like invent Mossad from first principles and do any horrible war crimes. Um,
Yeah, that would be bad. The other character we're introduced to is their new commanding officer who takes over because and it is Bina
Gelbfish, right?
yeah, Bina Geldfish, i.e. Lonsman's ex-wife, who's now his
I.e.,
superior officer.
I think like from all descriptions, she's supposed to be a very normal looking woman, but from his perspective, it's like this is the hottest woman that has
Yeah,
ever lived in
he
all of
loves
human
her so
history.
yeah, he's always talking about her various parts of her body and her hair and stuff in a not in a creepy way, in like a I'm still in love with this person kind of way. So yeah, she
He's like eating dinner like in her presence, and he's like, I can slightly see her cleavage. I'm gonna kill myself. Like,
Yeah.
that's
We've
the
all
energy
been
of
there,
this guy.
ladies.
Yes.
Uh,
And she's like literally she's very like tries to be no nonsense. She has a bag that's full of everything you could possibly need. We all know a lady like this.
mhm.
Um and she's professional but always like has a line, and he'll be like, I might kill myself, and she's like, whether you've blown your brains or not, brains or no brains, be in my office at 9. That's like her
Yeah.
energy. But then like he's not in her office at 9, she's like, okay, god damn it, I'm gonna make him a cup of coffee and I'm gonna help him.
Yeah.
I love her. She's maybe my favorite character.
Yeah, she's the best character. Basically he comes and he's like, "Hey, this guy got murdered in my hotel. I'm going to look into it." And she's like, "No, you're not, because we're about to literally lose our jobs because the this is going to become America again. So we're not going to have jurisdiction. So no more open cases. Close all of your cases. Focus on all the shit." And he immediately is just like, "Well, I'm not going to do that. For some reason, I'm obsessed with this dead boy because he made me so sad."
I mean, like, I think part of it is he had a chess set up in his room, right? And he was a
Mhm.
chess player, and he named his alias was a chess player, and he was like, my dead dad liked chess, and I fucking hate chess, but also that makes me sad. Like, and I think like part of it is it's like you don't really get the reason he's drawn to it until we learn more about this young man himself, and then it starts to actually kind of make sense
Yeah, I
why
mean,
he
it
has this
seems
aura.
almost mystical why he's drawn to this. I think is the intention, because it is a kind of confusing at first. You're like, why does this guy care? But
And to be fair, it's strange times to be a Jew, as they say constantly, not just because of the reversion, but because there are signs and wonders happening. And we're starting to realize, I mean, they're saying that there's a chicken speaking about the return of the Messiah. They're saying that a bearded face was spotted in the sky. And for our our listenership, who we know you're fairly well educated, but maybe you're disproportionately, because I've looked at the numbers, going to be Christians or raised Christians. um, Jews have the Messiah too. Christians didn't make that one up. If in case you didn't know, I hope you all did. But there is the Jewish concept of the Messiah has a lot of similarities with the Christian concept of the Messiah, except Christians are like, oh, the Messiah was Jesus, and Jews are like, Messiah hasn't shown up yet. That's kind of
yeah,
the idea. There's a lot more to it than that, but there is a sort of a an understanding that someone with the potentiality to be the Messiah is born into every generation, and for the moment to be right, for peace to come to the earth. A lot of disagreements, among people about what that means and whatnot. We're not here to get into like the actual language of it, but there is a lot of hope in looking for the Messiah and looking for this like this freedom. And let's just say that there was a young man, might that matches a lot of features with the guy that ended up dead in the hotel room, that people thought was the Messiah just a few years ago, and that's what they
right.
find out in their investigations.
He's the son of basically the local crime boss.
Yeah,
This
crime
local
boss
like
slash rabbi, like slash like powerful rabbi. This guy's so sick.
Yeah, this guy also has Disco Elysium character energy. A lot of characters in this do. You can definitely feel that the Disco was partly
Yeah,
inspired by this book. I think
Rabbi
that's
Spielman, right?
yeah,
Am
Spielman.
I
Yeah,
Spielman? And he oversees this in district that they call the Black Hat District. Basically, the very very religious
the
part
Orthodox
of
district.
town,
Yeah,
the highly orthodox part of town, the place that is the most like self-organized, internally policed. They've got their own thing going on. There's crime, like it's a crime boss thing, but it is also like a sort of huddling down and waiting for the moment. And everybody's like, this is the place they're like, if there's going to be an insurrection against the US government in a few months, it's going to be like based out of here. But like when
right,
they're going around, they're like, everyone's behaving pretty normally, almost too normally.
right. They don't seem like a bunch of people who are going to be made stateless in a couple of weeks. Is basically what he
Nor do they
says.
seem like a bunch of people that are about to do an uprising.
Right. Also, crucially, Landsman is not a religious man at all. Like, he considers himself a Jew. Like, he's ethnically Jewish, but he doesn't believe in God. He has a lot of disdain for the Orthodox Jews. He thinks that they're fools. He talks
Yeah.
about that constantly. I think it's so interesting. Like, I know, I'm not Jewish. My grandfather was Jewish, but I was raised Catholic, and my father is Muslim. But it's really interesting to me, like the stuff with, what is it, the Boundary Maven, the guy who
Yes.
like There's a character whose whole thing is he just uses string to mark out different places, basically just tricking God so you can do stuff on the Sabbath, which I know is a big part of Jewish life.
Yeah, rules lawyering is deep in there. I
Yeah.
respect it. I respect it intently. It's like God's like, oh well, y'all got
Yeah,
me.
they got me. Yeah.
But honestly, like if you read like, you know, the Talmud, or you read in just the Old Testament, like there is a lot of that even with the characters. Like you have multiple times where Moses will be like, God, what are you talking about? No. And God will be like, my bad, Moses, you're right. Like that's an actual that's not a conception that really exists in Christianity. Like even though that, you know, is technically in the Bible, Christianity, you never have this like, oh, God is wrong, or God can be argued with or bargained with in any way. And that's actually that just gets completely lost at some point
Yeah.
in the Christian tradition, even though again, it's in the book. But like read the book of Job. It's like Job just being like, God, what's up, man? You're messing with me. And God being like, I have the right to do that, but also you're kind of right. I did kind of fuck with you.
Yeah.
My bad, man.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's
that's the
awesome.
vibe here. That's the vibe here. And the Boundary Maven's sick because he's like this guy that like has all the secret knowledge and stuff because he has to know the lay of the land and lay the wires and everything. Everyone has to respect him. It's like a wizard almost. It's
Yeah,
so
also
sick.
cool. Like Boundary Maven sounds like something from like Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah.
Love
So
to be a
like
Maven.
he's a great connect that with him they're able to get in to Rabbi Spielman, and this is where we really start realizing, okay, there were this young man that died who was going by Lasker's real name was Mendel Spielman. And he was considered a genius. He was the son of Rabbi Spielman. He was a genius.
Chess prodigy.
He was a chess prodigy. Everyone liked him. He was attractive. He had riz, and also seemed like he could do miracles. He would speak a blessing over someone, and something would get better. You would inherit money, or your cancer would go away, or even he like at one point told the Boundary Maven like tell your
Give your dying mistress my blessing.
Yeah, give your dying mistress my blessing, and like her cancer went away. And the Boundary Maven was like, yeah, he like realized that like he didn't realize that miracles aren't worth shit. I love the Boundary Maven. He's like, yeah, God is real, and like I can trick him, and I don't care about miracles, even though they're real. I love that.
Yeah.
But that was like Spielman's deal. But then one day he disappeared on the eve of his wedding to a woman. Which, why wouldn't he want to marry a woman? I mean, if she was a beautiful, perfect woman, why didn't he want to marry her? We don't know.
Yeah, and we learned this because Landsman goes to the guy's, like, literally stakes out Mendel's funeral and then literally does a running leap into his mother's limo when they're leaving.
Yeah. If you ever really want information, mothers of recently deceased estranged children really appreciate you jumping in their car.
Yeah, and she's also a really great character. She's not in it very much, but she has a lot of presence on the page. He is excellent at writing women. He always has been, which is pretty rare.
I like that the mom chills with like a gigantic like butch bodyguard. The butch bodyguard is super sick. And then like at one point she's like, if I have to stay here, I have to sleep in my bodyguard's garage. And she goes, it would be an honor, ma'am.
Yeah, I love the butch. I loved her. Can't remember her name, but she ruled. Anyway, yeah, so basically we get the story, we get a flashback of the mother who's discovered, basically like she's known for a long time that her son is gay. But she's like, okay, you know, he has to get married anyway. You know, it's what you do. Like this is pretty common in the Middle East too. Like,
yeah, and like she's even like, I've talked to my husband like 12 times in the last 10 years. Like it's just kind of how it is.
Yeah. So like there are a lot of situations, you know, people love to be like, oh, you know, gays for Gaza, blah blah blah. They'll throw you off a roof, but it's like in a lot of the Middle East, being gay, it's, you know, it's not fine, but it's tolerated usually as long as you actually, you know, as long as you're still kind of doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's true in a lot of conservative places here also. As long as you don't, you know, break the rules.
Do you know how many gay choir directors with wives there are in like the American South? Like so many. Like you can go and they're beloved members of the community and everybody knows they're gay, but as long as they follow the rules publicly, like nobody gives a
Right.
shit. That's
But
unfortunately a common thing.
specifically Mendel does not want that, so he runs away. And
Yes.
then he comes back to say back to his mom in drag. He says bye to his mom, like dressed in drag to come and say bye to her.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You got to love that. So Landsman is now like, okay, so he at this point is being told by the higher ups, hey, dude, you really got to stop investigating this case. You are causing no end of frustration. We're getting calls from the Orthodox community. You're pissing everyone off. And he's like, yeah, but like, there's something here. Like, there's something big here, you know?
Right. And then he discovers something that is so big that he's like never going to let it go because his sister, Naomi, died in she was a commercial she was a commercial pilot, or not a commercial pilot, she was just like she flew like private planes.
We get the
And
implication she may have been up to like some illegal activity.
she crashed her plane a few years ago and died. And he discovers through doing sort of bumbling detective work that the last call that Mendel made to his mother was from the airport. And he looks at flight logs and discovers that the last flight that he did was with his sister the day that she died. So he goes to the place where they were flying from. And he also finds that the flight logs have been purged.
Yes. So somebody higher up is doing something. And we get a bunch of fun stuff with him running around and talking to somebody who like a woman who makes pies, and she was like, "Yeah, I saw that Messiah guy. I tried to fuck him and he didn't want to have sex with me."
Yeah, she's like, I'm
Like,
actually a sex addict, and he's like, that's cool.
and they like he runs into like a really shitty pilot who he eventually gets to fly him, and he's like, "Oh, your sister. Yeah, she kicked the shit out of me a couple times. She always said she was a lesbian and everything but sexual preference."
Yeah, his sister's also real based. Right, so he flies to what is basically a place that is supposed to be like a rehab center, is what he's told, but it's basically just this big facility run by Jews in Slingit land. And he's like, what is going on? Nobody would ever allow this. How
Right.
have how
It's
has
not like
this
a
been
little
allowed
thing.
to
It's like
happen?
1,000 acres, and there's like tons of people, and like he sees like a firearm training range and bunch of cars. And at one point later, they see like they've got cattle. They're like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Like this isn't like, oh, we let a guy live here. Like y'all, there. This is an operation, and it's clearly not
Right.
just a rehab center. So
Right.
what's going on? And we talked last week a little bit about I made reference last week a little bit to Christian rehab centers that do like gay conversion therapy and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I was just like imagining if you gave them like a militia. That's like kind of
Yeah.
what you have going on here.
I thought it was going to be a gay conversion therapy thing. It didn't end up going in that direction, but it was like I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Could have been for all we know. I'm sure that they tried that on him. So
Right. We don't really
Landsman
like
gets
we don't really like spend a lot of time on him being gay in the sense of it like thinking about it a lot and then being it's not even like his parents are like stop being gay. They're just like fulfill your destiny. And at this
right.
point, they're just trying to get him off whoever has brought him here, which we will end up finding about in this grand conspiracy. Was trying to get him off heroin at this point.
Right.
And shit went bad quick.
Right. So Landsman goes to this facility and immediately like he basically like loses the stealth check immediately. They immediately knock him out and tie him up and put him like in a freezer or something, and he's like, "Are you gonna eat me?" And they're
He
like,
tries like
"No."
he tries to lie. He's like, "My name is and they just like hit him in the back of the head."
Yeah,
It's
he's
all-
literally he's killing it. He's not I mean, he's a pretty good detective, but he kind of just bumbles from one thing to the other. Yeah, so then actually the scene where he escapes the prison that they put him in is incredible. They like handcuff him to like a cot in a room with a window, and he picks the bed frame up and smashes the window. with the cot, and then is like running around outside like naked in the snow because they took his clothes, and he like
hits a guy with the bed frame.
he knocks a guy out with the bed frame. And then shoots the handcuffs off and then steals like a snowmobile or whatever.
And then he still almost dies, but he gets saved by Willie Dick, who is like the most like D&D character in this book. Like just shows up, is here for like 15 pages and is like, well, my time here is done.
Yeah, he's like some sling it like sheriff who
It's like 4'6" or something like that.
Yeah, he's really short and like mean.
He's short and mean, and he knows Berko Shemetz from back in the day, and he's like the only guy to ever get like a clearance to do that, to be like on this thing. And he competed and like tried to compete in different professional sports, and he got like a master's degree. Like he's just got a lot going on. He has a custom motorcycle that they say was made for like King Charles when he was like 13 or something like that. Just like crazy shit going on, and he's just always being like so mean but also extremely helpful at all times. And then he's just gone, and it was like that was Willie Dick. Willie Dick miniseries win.
Right. So what Willie Dick helps Berko and Landsman do is they find a red heifer and discover that this whole operation is to bring about the rapture. Yay.
Or not the rapture. Well, sort of.
Bring back Messiah. Well, it is to bring about the rapture. Yeah.
Yes.
Because then we meet Cash Dollar.
Yes. Just so let me just to frame up really quickly what the red heifer deal is. Let me just read this to you from Numbers 19.
Gate.
Yeah, in Numbers 19 it says, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord has commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and they bring you a red heifer without blemish, in which there is no defect, on which a yoke has never come." And there are some people who believe, mostly like Christians, but there are some Jews that are into this as well. It is, again, primarily a Christian thing. That this is tied to a prophecy about the third temple and an eventual the eventual like Messiah coming. The Jews and Christians in question disagreeing on whether that's the return of the Messiah or the first coming of the Messiah. And so there are in real life facilities where people are trying to breed red heifers. That is a real thing in real life. There's a big ranch in Texas that like has like had like 12 generations of red heifers. Here's the thing. Red heifer without blemish, very difficult to pull off, it seems.
Yeah.
Turns out they always have like a gray hair or something because they're a cow and they're very big. So they're still working on that. Kind of to me has always, even when I was like young and a Christian, I was like, seems like they were just talking about a thing they were doing back then, but that's none of my business, I guess.
Yeah.
But in this book, not only do they have a red heifer breeding facility, but to hide them, they've been like painting fake chalk spots on them, which is like, again, I'm just imagining like a fucking Disco Elysium like inspection roll, and then you're just like, wait, that's chalk. Detective. Kim Kitsuragi would solve this instantly. It's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. So then they basically like they're like, okay, so we've discovered this basically they've discovered a plot to do the Nakba. Like
Yes.
there is a faction within the US government or a group of Orthodox Jews who want to regain Israel, and they're being funded by the US government, by a bunch of evangelicals in the US government. And we meet one of those guys whose name is Cash Dollar.
His name is literally Cash Dollar, and he's described as someone with like blonde hair that looks like it can't. They were like, his hair is like this blonde helmet that like it looks like it's made out of concrete. He's constantly smiling. He refuses to ever say a cuss word. Like he's a very like
in the audiobook, he's like, well, now, Mr. Shemetz. Like they give him like a Mississippi accent.
No, you have a part where Landsman and him go back and forth, where they're talking about different stuff. Where they're talking about, and he's like, we're not really sure what agency he's with, CIA, FBI, whatever. Maybe he's Marco Rubio, or who knows. But he says, but at one point, Landsman's like, Jesus? And he says, Jesus is okay with me. And then Cash Dollar says, I'm glad. He's okay with me too. And Jesus wasn't keen on killing, on hurting people, on destruction. I know that. The Kabat Sak is it Kabat Sakra? Am I right about that?
I'm not sure.
Folks, it's the Dome of the Rock. I'm going to say it the best I can, but this character would say it wrong too. The Kabata Sakra was as fine an old piece of architecture in Islam as a venerable religion. And other than the fact that it's completely mistaken on a fundamental level, I have no quarrel with it per se. I love that. I
Yeah.
wish there was some way to do this job that didn't require taking such actions, but sometimes there isn't. And Jesus knew that. Whoso shall offend one of these ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea, right? I mean, those are Jesus' words. The man could be fairly harsh when he needed to me. He was kick-ass, Landsman suggests. Yes, he was. Now, you might not credit the fact, but the end times are coming, and I, for one, very much look forward to seeing them come. But for that to happen, Jerusalem and the Holy Land have to belong to the Jews again. That's what it says in the book. Sadly, there is no way to do that without some bloodshed, unfortunately, without a certain amount of destruction. That's just what is written, you know? But I am trying very hard, unlike my immediate predecessor, to hold all that down to the absolute minimum, for Jesus' sake, and for the sake of my own soul, and all our sake, to keep things running clean. Hold this operation together until we have sorted it out over there. Lay us down some facts on the ground. So that's like
Yeah.
the deal.
Yeah, so it's literally just what's happening now. And what has been happening for years.
This is not even 1% an exaggeration of anything. Like not even close. So to do Jacob's evangelical corner over here. There is a reason Focus on the Family, James Dobson's organization, is is housed a few miles away from the US Air Force Academy. Like, there is not just an evangelical movement that is like apocalyptic and Zionist in nature with this very particular end. It is very intentionally through the years gotten people in the higher ranks of the US military, especially the Air Force, which is disproportionately evangelical among its officer class. I can tell you, as someone who went to private Christian schools, it was pushed on us that we should go to military academies to further the purpose of like God. There were different people who communicated it differently, some more extreme, some less. But that like crusader mindset was a very real thing. The way Pete Hegseth talks now, admittedly, like my professors were a little smarter than Pete Hegseth and didn't talk like him. They didn't sound like they had just like done a fucking keg stand, a heg stand, if you will, just before talking. But like that was a very real mentality. And it was, we need to support Israel so that we can bring about the end time, so that Jesus can return and then kill all the Muslims and also all the Jews. That was they to be clear, they don't really care about the Jews over there either. They always said there would be 144,000 Jews who were saved and all the rest would die, which is if you're keeping track, most of them by a lot.
Yeah.
So and that's the mentality in this book. It's just displaced by 60 years, right?
Yeah,
it's the same logic.
They also tell they find out before this. Well, I don't know what order it happens in, but then they find out that Burko, the partner character, the half Slingit character, his father, who is Jewish, was Mossad. And they find out that the synagogue fire that his mother died as a result of was a false flag Mossad operation. That like the government, with the help of these like Yiddish agents, or I guess these ones are they call them, because they're speaking Hebrew, I think, when they come, and they're like shocked by that.
Yeah, the people that have been like living on this like compound, basically, the U.S. government purchased for them, are the ones that are speaking.
Right, Hebrew. The Zionists burned down this synagogue as a false flag to get people angry at the natives, to encroach further on their land. And
if that sounds crazy to you, read about what happened in the late 40s and early 50s to Jewish communities in Arab countries, where a lot of Jewish communities were like, we don't want to move. And then all of a sudden stuff starts catching on fire. And some of that was done by Arabs and some of it wasn't. And that's like well documented. I
Yeah.
will put some links in the episode description so it doesn't just seem like I'm being conspiratorial. This is a real thing. It sounds horrible, but it was done by the U.S. government in
Hmm.
cooperation with the burgeoning state of Israel. Very real.
Yep. So yeah, this book comes down and basically, yeah, they're basically told by the US government, by Mossad, that they need to keep quiet or they'll have their lives ruined. And they find
Not just
out,
their lives ruined, but like Burko's kids, and they're
right.
like, "Look, don't you want to stay here? It's a tough situation."
Right. So basically, yeah, this is a book about how, like Lenore said this. Lenore, who couldn't be on the episode, but said this is a book about how fucked you always get when you go along with empire.
Right.
Like bowing to colonialism just, destroys your life and the lives of other people in different parts of the world. And they find out that Mendel, the Messiah, killed himself or he got someone to kill him because he wanted to die to
Sorry, go ahead.
escape this fate, obviously.
Yes, because at the end of his life, he realized he had set up a chess set. It had described the chess set earlier in it. I had kind of like semi pictured it, but like I'm like a
Mhm.
very much a chess novice, so I was like, okay, sure, man. I'm sure it'll explain if it's relevant to the plot, and it does. And basically, it comes down to what they call zugzwang, which is basically a situation where in chess, where it would be better if you had the ability not to make a move, because any way you move, you will end up in checkmate.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, that's not a real thing you can do in chess. You have to always move a piece. And so, this would be Messiah who realized, okay, well, if I flee, what I'm going back into a life of like heroin addiction and I'm betraying my community. But if I go along with these people, I'm going to help trigger this war. I'm going to like, this is going to be horrible. So he decides it is better for him to die. It
Right.
is the only thing that exists.
So we find out that Naomi, Landsman's sister, was killed because she helped Mendel escape these people.
Mhm.
She flew him out of there.
I find it really
um
interesting they chose the name Naomi too. If you think about like Naomi from the scriptures, right? The
mhm.
mother-in-law of Ruth, who has no real reason that she really needs to bother with Ruth once her son has died. And Ruth, is I believe even in the scriptures not Jewish, or she's not from their tribe. I forget exactly what the context is, but she takes care of her and they form this deep bond and connection. And the quote, "Where you go, I go, where you stay, I stay," is from the book of Ruth, of these two women talking to each other. There have
Yeah.
been readings of that are more than just mother-in-law and daughter-in-law,
Yeah.
which are interesting and deserve, an examination as well. But I also think it's very interesting that Naomi is somebody who sees this like poor, washed up little gay kid with like
Yeah.
that's like so powerful. He's an anime protagonist. He's so sad and so powerful, and so gay.
Yeah. So
And
he kills
she's like, "I'm
himself.
gonna take care of this little guy," but he kills himself anyway. And I saw some criticism of this book that I think is very wrong. I do not. I know for a fact, because I know I've read other stuff by this author, that this is not his position. They were saying, so is he just saying like we should just kill ourselves, like it doesn't matter, and like the Jews can't do anything correctly, we just shouldn't exist? And that is not the argument he's making. It is the conclusion this character came to
Yeah.
because of this horrible fucking catch 22 he was in. But I think the book is pretty clear that it was a tragedy. Like
Though
I
I
don't,
mean,
you know
yeah, I think so too. Though I would argue that what Michael Chabon is saying in this book is that it would be better for us to disappear than do what we're doing to um the native people.
sure.
Like I think that that's a pretty I think that that is the thing that he got shit for is his
Right.
it is pretty, I might call this book Judeo-Christian pessimism. Like
Sure.
he doesn't seem very, so there's a part I wanted to read here, and this is his when he's talking to Cash Dollar, and he says, fuck what is written, Landsman says. You know what? All at once, he feels weary of genefs and prophets, guns and sacrifices, and the infinite gangster weight of God. He's tired of hearing about the promised land and the inevitable bloodshed required for its redemption. I don't care what is written. I don't care what supposedly got promised to some sandal-wearing idiot whose claim to fame is that he was ready to cut his own son's throat for the sake of a harebrained idea. I don't care about red heifers and patriarchs and locusts, a bunch of old bones in the sand. My homeland is my hat. It's in my ex-wife's tote bag. He sits down. He lights another cigarette. Fuck you, Landsman concludes, and fuck Jesus too. He was a pussy.
The only time in his life Landsman has ever succeeded at a charisma check. Never will again and never has before.
So yeah, I would say that this is a extremely anti-Zionist book. And yeah, it ends basically with
Christian while we're at it. The very
yeah,
anti,
yes. Yeah.
evangelical eschatology, I should say.
Right.
Which I guess
Anti-empire.
it should be worth noting who was president when this came out. It was George W. Bush, right?
Right.
Like, Iraq War, Afghanistan War. This is all raging. One of my favorite, I mean, it's horrible that it happened, but I still love that after getting off a call with Bush at one point, apparently the French president, I forget his name, but the French president in 2004 asked an advisor, who is Gog and Magog? that is unfortunately one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, so it basically ends with Bina and Landsman calling up a journalist that they know who's the guy who broke the Mossad story and ruined Burko's dad's life, basically. And it basically ends with
at the end.
Yeah, it ends with "fuck it, we ball," basically.
Yes.
Like we're gonna fucking bring this whole. We're gonna blow. They basically decide to be whistleblowers at the very end.
And because the thing is, the U.S. government is going ahead with their plan anyway. They don't.
Yeah, they blow up the Dome of the Rock.
They do, and they want the different factions in Palestine to think the other ones did it, to start a civil war, and then to go and mop up basically afterwards.
Yeah, they're trying to stoke Shia and Sunni sectarian violence, which is tale as old as time.
Right,
time is a flat circle. That's what they're always trying to do.
And the thing is, in Landsman's told, like, do not leak this, because then, of course, if the Shia and Sunni know that this is a U.S. government plot, then they're going to be able to unite against the coming invasion. Mm-hmm. And so the very ending, they're like sitting there and he's like, okay, well, we will have nowhere to stay. We'll have nowhere to do. If we like expose this, we will very likely die. And at the very end, just to read the end of this, Landsman tries to weigh the fates of Burko, his uncle Hurt, Sabina, of the Jews, of the Arabs, of the whole unblessed and the homeless planet against the promise he made to Miss Spielman and to himself, even though he had lost belief in fate and promises. I didn't have to wait for you to drag your lamentable hide down those lousy stairs, Bina said. You know that. I could have just walked out the goddamn door. Yeah, so why didn't you? Because I know you, Meyer. I could see what was going through your mind, sitting up there listening to Hertz. I could see you had something you needed to say. She pushes the phone back to his lips and brushes them with hers. So just go ahead and say it already. I'm tired of waiting. For days, Landsman has been thinking that he missed his chance with Mendel Spielman, that in their exile at the Hotel Zamenhof, without even realizing he blew his one shot at something like redemption. But there is no Messiah of Sitka. Landsman has no home, no future, no fate but Bina. The land that he and she were promised was bounded only by the fringes of their wedding canopy, by the dog-eared corners of their cards of membership in an international fraternity whose members carry their patrimony in a tote bag, their world on the tip of the tongue. Brennan, Landsman says, I have a story for you. And that's the last line. Brennan is the Ken Klippenstein of this world, or whoever.
Yeah.
And that, God, the end of this book hit me.
Yeah, it's real brutal. So the LA Review of Books article, I don't agree with its conclusions, but it does point out something that I agree with. And they said very obviously, there are no Palestinians in this book.
Yeah.
This is a book about Zionism. This is a book about imperialism, about violence, about the violence that has been done. I mean, it's done to the native people of the Americas in this book too, which has also been done in real life. So that is also colonial violence that has happened that it does touch on. But there are no Palestinians in this book. No Arabs ever speak in this book, and And they also say that this is the sort of story that only a Jew would be allowed to tell. Probably, for good reason. But it is also true that there are certain things you just are not allowed to do. Like a Palestinian couldn't write a book like this in
Certainly
any
not get the
way.
accolades that it got
Right.
and everything.
Right. And part of that is just that, like, because but also, like, there's part of me that's like, well, yes, the Jewish people have earned the right to a book like this. They have also been wanderers and sufferers and been thrown out of places and had violence. And I think just not enough time has passed for Palestinians to have earned the protected status in the world. And I think they probably will. And hopefully we won't go on to commit atrocities to somebody else. Inshallah. But I think that is a good criticism of this book.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it makes it a piece of propaganda or anything like that. And the person who read it is like, it's a very good book. It's a very touching book. But yeah, it does not feature any Palestinians.
I think there is something too, it is a story that only a particular type of person can tell, that there is not, not inherently wrong. It's rather than a criticism of Chabon, who I think is very cool and good, from everything I know about him. It is rather a criticism of the system that does not allow other people that have this same voice. And the Jewish people have fought hard to get a lot of the rights that they have won and a lot of the status. And despite all the horrors of Zionism, have had to go through a whole lot of shit. And those
and now
things
the government is trying
exist.
the U.S. government is trying to fucking roll that shit back because of the way
Exactly.
that anti-Semitism is coming back.
Exactly. And these things are not complicated in the sense of, oh, it's so complicated, we don't talk about it, we don't engage with it, it doesn't matter, whatever, throw up our hands and let the government kill whoever they want to. But complicated in the sense of, like, the way that Chabon is, engaging with here. And I appreciate him. And also, if he's listening, he should come on the pod, because I feel like he'd be an amazing guest.
This is an incredible piece of literature. Like, just like the fact that it engages with this subject at all at the time that it did is just like, it really just floored me. I was just like laughing out loud at just like how, like, that this book is just about everything that has been happening over the past couple years. It's terrific. Yeah, Michael, come on the pod.
How it engages with so many different aspects of Jewish culture and subculture, and how they would have evolved in a different context, and like the particularities with this and the different dialects people are using, the different styles people have. He's clearly having fun with that. He's having, like, there's so much about it that is so cool and interesting. And I also just occurs to me, like, God, like, how much and it is interesting too when you have this, like, very particular, like, culture of, like, Sitka in this book, and how these people are existing, and then you have, like, the evangelical characters showing up ready to, like, flatten everything back into the sort of quote unquote Judeo-Christian sphere to, like, go and do their conquest. And it's like, oh my God, all these people and their cultures and their special type of donut that they've made up and all of that wants to get flattened over by, like, the white supremacist Christian project, like Christian evangelical project of, like, fucking Bush Trumpism.
It's weird.
It's remarkable.
You know what this reminded me of, weirdly, is Sinners. Like
Say more on that. Yeah.
The theme of Sinners being sort of like what Empire wants to do is it does want marginalized people, but it wants to subsume them into the soup of itself. And that's what the vampires are in Sinners. They're not white supremacy, they are empire. And I thought about that while I was reading this book too.
It's really good. It's also just a killer noir novel. I mean, for all the details we gave, there's 1,000,001 details and clues and little things and that. Anyone would have a fun time reading it. I feel like if I ever get a chance to reread it, I'm going to really enjoy going back and seeing all the stuff that's left. It's killer.
Also, an extremely hilarious scene where he is, like, been shot at and he is sleeping in Burko and his wife's bed, and, like, the two children climb into the bed with him and, like, sleep with him. It's so funny.
Or like him remembering, like, Oh yeah, when we were in our teen years, I would climb up the weather pipe or the water pipe to come like sleep with my wife while her parents were asleep. I'm gonna do that now that I'm 46, and he like rips his leg open and he's like
Yeah,
like throwing out his back and stuff like that.
she's like,
Uh,
you could have just come in the front. And he's like, no.
she's like, I'm a grown ass woman, but then her dad is like, is somebody in there?
Yeah, it rules. Yeah, I'll
Oh,
see
so
if
fun.
I know a couple people who know Michael Chabon. Maybe we
That'd be
can
fun.
get him on the pod.
That would be fun. And while he's at it, he can give me his tips for keeping hair looking that nice well into your
Yeah,
60s.
he does have a lot of hair. Well,
Wow.
I don't know. Like my dad still has a full head of hair. My dad is 70 and his hair is not even gray.
Oh hell
So
yeah.
yeah, it's the Jewish Muslim handshake of great
Yeah,
hair.
Christians don't get that one in the
Yeah.
monotheistic Triforce.
Yeah.
That's not a power Christians got. We got all the missiles and stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, in that Triforce, and not the hair.
yeah, we got the
or
hair, you got
food.
the missiles.
Missiles and yeah. Let's see if we can like distribute it evenly at some point.
Yeah, we need some
Um,
missiles. You can have some hair.
Iran seems to be trying to close the missile gap. More on that next week, I'm sure.
God.
Well, cool. Well, as we come to the end here, this was a really beautiful book. Once again, hate that Lenore wasn't here for this.
Yeah.
But of course, she was on a special mission in Alaska to bring peace to all people and to bring down empire. We wish her well on that. I'm sure she'll be back, and only slightly colder for wear. Well, everybody, we are covering Black Flame next week by Gretchen Felker Martin. We have a really exciting guest for that, so be ready. Also, reminder, we have a Patreon now. It's good. It's cool. You can suggest episode topics. We're going to be choosing episodes every month based on your suggestions. There's, there's going to
Horny
be
fantasy
exclusive-
novels, apparently.
Horny fantasy novels are getting recommended, and also Jacob's horrible evangelical novel he wrote when he was 14. That is also a horny fantasy novel, just not on purpose. Is going to be there.
Just if you have a couple dollars lying around, the lowest tier is just $3 a month. And that gets you the bonus episode that we're gonna do every month. Just this we love doing this pod. We're gonna keep doing it. Not gonna paywall any of the 2 episodes we do a week, but this is a very labor intensive podcast. It requires us to read a book every week. Which is hard. Reading is hard, guys.
Yes, we read a book every week. We're doing, trying to do reading about the author, reading about the context, all kinds of stuff. We're, editing, all manner of things. So if you appreciate this podcast,
the time that I'm a freelance writer, so the time that I'm reading, I can't be working on stuff that makes me money. So it would be great to have some money. So and, thank you guys so much.
If you can't afford it, or if you can, but also leave us a review, tell people, share it. And if you can't afford it, you can afford even more. You can buy, I've got it set up. You can buy gift subscriptions to our Patreon for all your friends. You're allowed to buy infinite of those. You're allowed to buy 1 million if you want. $1 million, $1 million. $3 tiers. Think about it.
You would be for $1 million. Jacob will transgender.
Honestly, I like being a man, but I like not having to go to work more.
We'll be the only all-woman podcast, finally.
Finally. Okay, folks, we appreciate you, and try not to be a tool of empire, I guess.
Yeah.
But also try to not kill yourself in the process.
Yeah, don't kill yourself.
Don't kill yourself, eat a donut, and get back with your ex-wife. See you next week.
Bye, guys.